Hi, everyone. Hello, hello. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Spring Summer 25 MAC Trend Live Masterclass. It's wonderful to see so many familiar faces in the audience, as well as all the new faces joining us both in person and on Zoom. A warm welcome to you all as well. I'm Lyric Christian from the MAC Pro and Artist Relations team, and I work alongside Christian Mitchell, Monique Boyer, and Kayla Stokes. We're thrilled to have you here at our global headquarters for an exclusive preview of this season's biggest trends before they hit the runway. And of course, I can't miss the chance to mention our Pro membership program. Everyone knows about it, yes? For those who don't know about it, if you're an artist or beauty industry professional, you're eligible to join. Just head over to macproapplication.com to apply. It takes no more than 5 minutes of your time. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at MacPro for the latest updates. Now, without further delay, it's my pleasure to introduce our lovely Executive Director of Trend, Kat Quinn, who will guide you through the show-stopping trends of the season. Kat, take it away. She doesn't need a mic. I'm gone, y'all.
Yes, I do. Okay, fab. It's so great to see everyone. I see so many amazing familiar faces. It is such a pleasure to be here to preview our Spring-Summer 2025 trends with the people in this room who create the trends. We really just curate what all of you are doing, tastemakers, editors, artists, pros. We're so honored to be here and to share this time with you, so thank you. Hey, Tiff. This is a super special season for MAC because we are celebrating our 40th anniversary, and backstage, woo! And as so many of you in this room know, and many of you have been a part of, Backstage is a huge part of our legacy as a brand. We have been doing designer collaborations since 1966, starting with Christian Blanken, Diesel, and Matsuda. And it's such a pleasure to be here today to talk about what is upcoming for this season with three people who have had a front seat to it all. Some of them have worked for the brand for 29 years and 30 years, which is incredible. So I'd love to introduce first Sharon Hinchliffe, our Executive Director of Makeup Artistry for MAC. You've definitely seen Sharon backstage. This year she'll be keying the Wiederhoff show, one of my faves, an amazing bridal designer. Next we have Chantel Miller, Director of Artistry for MAC. Woo! Chantel keyed the Monse show last season, and you will see her backstage at every show, running the show. We could not do backstage without her. Nope. And next we have Romero Jennings, Director of Makeup Artistry. Romero will also be keying the Kim Shui show this season and supporting on many, many other shows. So they're going to do some incredible demos for you today on the trends, but first we wanted to have a quick discussion on trends in general, kind of the directions we're seeing for this season, and also just to take a moment to take in the last 30 years backstage for MAC, and what are some of their favorite looks and trends over the season. So kicking it off, looking back on the past 30 years, having a front row seat to all of this, what are some of the trends, looks that stand out to you in MAC's history from 1960? From 1996.
Sometimes it feels like from 1960. Yeah. I think for me, one of the things that stands out the most over the last 30 years has been like the journey of skin. You know, we've seen everything from raw skin, glass skin, spa skin, Baroque skin, into the McQueen era where things were, even really more powdered and theatrical. And I feel like I learned the nuance and the storytelling of skin through the lens of the last since 1960 backstage.
And for me, I think it's color. MAC is known for color. MAC is known for pigment load, but over the years, we're playing with different hues and also different textures. So I think MAC is really known for color payoff and color play, color placement, and that is something that I love and notice the most about MAC and trends.
Yeah, totally. I think it also gives a spotlight to subcultures, so whether that's punk, goth, preppy, it kind of spotlights that. And that's really for everyone, and that's our credo of all ages, all races, and all genders. So for me, it really supports our credo, which I love. Yeah. Brings it to life.
Another thing that not everyone realizes is that backstage is an incubator for us. We use it to torture test products, to develop products. A lot of ideas for products came from things that we mixed up backstage. So I'd love to know, what's your favorite product that started as a backstage DIY?
You first.
We're like
We're all like,
so
I got
excited.
an
We all have a favorite one.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, for me, and it's still a staple, is clear lip gloss. So that was created for Diesel in 1996. Wow. And it was to create a glass-like texture on the skin, and it's definitely still my go-to now in 2024 if we're trying to get that look.
For me, I would say that it's strobe cream because I feel like
Yes.
MAC actually started that strobe trend back in the day because no one knew what that word was before. No one associated that word with beauty, and MAC did. So I know that was created for Alexander McQueen, and it was to create this ethereal sort of alien look, as everyone knows that I
Romero.
love, an alien look. Yeah.
And for me, I'm the CB96 girl. Raise your hand if you even remember what that is. Yes? Okay, all right. So CB96 was also created in 1996 for Christian Blanken. That lipstick and I arrived at the brand at the same time.
Wow.
It was actually created to match a swatch of fabric. That was going to be a key fabric in the show. And for those of you who don't know, it's what's called a dual chrome. So it's an orange coral with a gold, and it's got a little bit of green in it too. It really changes as it moves through the light. And I believe we were one of the first brands that ever did monochromatic, dual chrome colors that really shifted in the light. Now you see them everywhere, but back in the day they were really not so easy to make, and we were always out of stock in them.
Yeah, and very rare. Very rare. It was,
Yeah.
you really didn't see it a lot.
Yeah, so what I love is that you mentioned glass skin, which is back. You mentioned CB96, which was actually just used on the recent season of Gossip Girl. So you see these trends kind of cycle and come back around, and it's really fun as MAC to see us kind of come back to where we were. So I'd love your perspective on how the trend cycle has changed since you've been at the brand and what you think of it.
You want to go first this time?
I went first last time, so I'm
I think for me what's most interesting about the cycle of trend and about what happens like as trend modernizes, right, or as how things modernize backstage, is for me to see the definition of model really expand and evolve. You know, I feel like when we started, you say the word model and you can get a really like laser sharp image of what that body type or what that human looked like. And now, you know, models are all of us, everyone, and it to me makes it so much more interesting to interpret a trend. It differently. It makes you think and it makes you stretch different muscles and it makes you really celebrate features that were not always available to us backstage. So I just love the diversity that we're seeing now.
I agree with that, Chantal, because I feel like it's democratized now, whereas before it was very kind of linear. Now we see trends being born in people's bathrooms or on the subway or the tube, if you're from where I'm from, or on the bus, you know, and I really love that. I think it keeps it really fresh and it's really exciting. And again, very inclusive.
And what I love about this is that, you know, before when you were creating looks for shows, the models had the same cookie cutter look. I mean, we still do that today, but I love that now shows could be organic, where you're sort of looking at the model's features and then creating a look just for her using some of the same colors.
Yeah.
I love that. Sometimes I've been a backstage reporter before this job. That was my job, and I went backstage and actually interviewed all these folks for many, many years. But some artists are a little bit allergic to the word trend, but I feel like at MAC artists really embrace that word. So what is it about trend? You know, what's the point of view of trend for MAC?
I mean, what I want to say, I want to give a big shout out to Kat Quinn because she really identifies the trend and then makes it digestible for artists as well as consumers so we can actually go out and practice it. Because sometimes you're looking and, you know, Fashion Week is over and you've seen every trend from every city and you're like, oh my God, so what is it? And I love that you tailor it down and make it digestible for us as artists as well as consumers. So thank you, Kat Quinn.
Yes. Agreed.
I would say you're creating it, I'm just curating it.
We're doing it together.
The editors in the
Not
room
true.
know what I mean. Yeah, I love that. Well, speaking of trends, let's talk about the trend direction for this season. I know everyone's eager to hear from us on this. So at the beginning of this season, Terry Barber, our creative director of makeup artistry, told me that he feels like we're really in a makeup renaissance. And I wanted to know what's your take on that?
Yeah, and thank
yes.
God, right?
Yes.
Like
We needed
COVID kind
it.
of, we were all just barefaced, and I'm glad that it's bold and, you know, unconventional and unapologetic. So I'm really excited that we're kind of back in a big way.
Yeah, makeup is back. I mean, people are being like, just trying new things and being different and
Pushing boundaries again.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, we're seeing beauty in all different shapes and forms, but we're also seeing like this trot towards a bit of fantasy even, which is just, we're makeup artists. This is why we're here. We came to do makeup. Give us a big reference.
Right, right. It's like creative hedonism. Like everything is
Totally.
just like more is more, and
Yeah.
how can we put this on in a way that's new and fresh and feels really different, exciting. Yeah.
It is exciting because forever it was raw but flawless. I don't know if you guys that work backstage, and it was like, again, like raw but
Skin.
flawless. Great. But, you know, there's a craft in that, of course, we know that, but it's exciting to have, you know, the boldness back.
Are there any overarching themes you're kind of predicting or seeing for the season?
I'm thinking a big push for nudes. I mean, not the nudes that we were doing back in the day where you take 20 minutes to do a makeup that looked like nothing.
Yeah.
It looks like something, it's nuanced, it's refined, and it's also tailored to the model's features. So I think nudes because there's so many different nudes and shades, so I think that is something we're going to see come back really big.
And naughty nudes, like nudes with a bit of gray, with a little bit of
Yeah.
sludge, a
Yes.
little
Wh-
something.
Which is kind of a nod back to the 90s,
Yeah.
where so many shades were gray or grayish. So, great, yeah.
Exactly.
I think as well, last season we saw a lot of cranberry, that beautiful cranberry makeup. I feel like that's evolved into more of a raspberry tone, which again is incredibly flattering on every single skin tone. So I'm excited to see that this season.
And I think some of the shades and the families that we've been seeing trending over the last 6 months, right? You don't wake up and go somewhere and the trend is like hard stopped, right? There's not like an expiration date on it. And I think we're very much living in like a 3 blush world, right? Like it is about, oh my gosh, it's the pink, it's the orange, it's the peach, it's the apricot. So again, to shamelessly plug CB96, but I do think that coral is still gonna be there. I think there still is gonna be a dressing of the cheek because that was gone in our world for quite some time, so.
Is Chantel hinting that we need to bring this back?
It's still,
A little?
we still make CB96
We still make
Romero.
it.
We do.
We still do.
But bring it back to the forefront.
Yes.
I
I'm gonna
love
try
that.
to sneak it in there somewhere.
I think the melding of colors, the melding of realities, we've been hearing this buzzword like Y3K instead of Y2K. So what is this like next gen, you know, color that's sort of purple and blue with things running through it? Another thing that we're seeing is a lot of different youth cultures bubbling up to the surface. I think you're going to see a lot of subcultures, but there's really 2 that people feel are going to be the ones that kind of rise to the top, and it's cutesy and emo. Demure and brat. But the reason for that is I think we're in a period right now where there's so many crises going on in the world, and so people sort of respond to that in one of 2 ways. Maybe you're someone who responds to that and looks for glimmers and joy and hope in your makeup and you want something that makes you feel really good. Or maybe you respond the complete opposite way and you're like, F the establishment, I'm going grunge, I'm going punk, like, you know, I'm leaning into rage and music and all of that. So you see those kind of 2, and then often they'll also meet in the middle, and so you'll get things like pastel grunge and this like kind of cutesy but has a little bit of grunge running through it. So I think that's really exciting as well.
I'm also excited for textures because we've seen a lot in the past, like a very glass-like texture or a matte texture. I think this season's going to be all about satin, which I'm so excited for.
Yes. I love a satin lip. And speaking of a satin lip, would love to talk about lip. Obviously, we're MAC. We have to talk about lips. So what are some of the key lip shades that you anticipate using on the runway this season, seeing on the runway?
I think some of those wrong colours that, you know, are unexpected on the lip that, you know, you might not automatically go for, but we do it in such a MAC way and maybe pair it with a lip pencil so that it actually works on the skin tone. I'm excited for that this season.
I'm thinking about a play on nude again, but with brighter pops of color. So as far as the lip goes, it would be nude, but we're hinting there is a new collection coming out, and there's some incredible, unexpected nudes. So get ready.
An unexpected shade.
And I like Sharon to what you said about those unexpected colors, like things that maybe we would consider belong on the eye.
Yeah.
And you're like, don't use that mossy green on the lip. It's like, don't tell me where to put it. But I also, even already on social, I've seen people doing some really interesting things with like muted blues and bringing in unexpected liners. And it's not an ombre, it's not a 90s liner, but it is actually almost like color creation in live form, which I think we'll see the runway sort of bringing some of those street trends up and in this season.
Keep your eye out for a blue.
And even with the nudes, I'm thinking about like using color correction with the lipstick to sort of like conceal the lip. You know, could be a trend as well.
Love it. What about for the rest of the face and eyes? Any other colors that you're expecting to see, or finishes or applications?
I think Chantal said about, you know, dressing the cheek. It's something, it's not just a blush, it's not just a flush of color on the cheek that, you know, historically we might have done so that it looked like it was blood infused. I feel like there's going to be a real art form to that. And again, there's going to be craftsmanship there in terms of the placement, how much we used, very delicate. It's not just about whacking it on and then blending it out. It's building up fine veils of color and thinking about, again, the finish and the texture.
And I'm thinking about this whole brat girl summer and Charlie XCX, and this green I feel is not even there yet. It's going to be introduced into makeup and into beauty, and it's like I can't see a green car and not think about the song or a green something, you know. So I feel like that is something we're still going to see coming soon.
And again, to that like placement, I feel like one of the things that we see in film and in social, but we don't realize we're seeing it, is we're seeing makeup in motion.
Yes.
Right? And so it's always interesting to me when we get backstage and try to create a motion to the makeup while the makeup is actually standing still, right? So asymmetrical placement, I'm a big fan of, and like celestial texture, and just but very, to what you said earlier, I think it's a technician's game.
Yeah.
You know, everything that you do is a choice that you're making for a very specific reason and for a very specific effect.
It's all intentional. Yeah, completely. I think as well there's a lovely juxtaposition if you have something very whimsical on the face against something that's very structured with the clothes. You know, that's something that we play a lot with when we work backstage and we work with our designers. Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the inspiration from this comes from the technology in the product.
Oh my God.
I know that Sharon would say that she will go into a test where you're not really going in and looking for what you need to do. Like I go in and I have an idea of what I want to use because I'm using my favorite products already. I know how they perform, and I'm like, this is what I'm going to use in this show in this way.
Yeah.
And then I get inspired by the designers. I think the technology in the product, the innovation, is what really helps drive trend as well.
Totally, and it's about moving that forward. So that, you know, innovation for me is about taking the original idea, moving it forward, but not abandoning the classical art form that was once there. And we do that with our products all the time.
Yeah. Are there any shows, designers that you're most looking forward to that Mac's working with this season?
Richard Quinn. I'm not going to be there, but Richard Quinn is always such a treat. I mean, the clothes are sublime, like the whole setting. He always has like an orchestra, and so you're moved. You know, it's an experience. It isn't just a fashion show. And Terry always keys it, and he does the most beautiful job. Like again, every single element is thought through, and it's not just a red lip. It's a really specific shape, and it's very measured and thought out, and his references obviously are second to none.
Well, I will be at Richard Quinn probably next week.
I'll get
to see all that. But for me, and I'm just shouting it out, man, Kim Shui, because what I love about her show is just it's very street, it's very wearable, and it's approachable at the same time. So she allows me the freedom to have a lot of fun with the makeup. But I always try to push it and create something that looks a little bit weird, you know? So that's what I'm looking for this season.
I'm looking most forward to Luar. I think we've had such an amazing relationship with Raul over the years. I mean, he is Mac stock, my Mac tried and true, and it's a perfect marriage. And I love the way he explores references and also textures, but really roots them in the now. So I think it's going to be a great show.
If you're not familiar, Raul Lopez, the designer for Luar, started as a makeup artist at MAC at the Macy's location in 34th Street. So it's pretty amazing to be able to work with him. And he knows makeup so well, and so it's so fun to collaborate in that way. Okay, great. Well, let's get into the 3 trends that you'll be creating today. We'll give a little preview, and then we'll bring the models out so you can create some beautiful looks in real life. So first, we want to talk about skin. I feel like there's always an overarching skin theme to every season. We've had cloud skin, we've had pearl skin. This season, we're really seeing a move toward what we're calling moonlit skin. So Sharon, can you tell us about moonlit skin?
Of course. This is a really beautiful, ethereal kind of, if you imagine what your skin would look like under the moonlight. So this is very strategically placed, kind of shimmer, glitter. It's really fun. It's kind of, you know, you can kind of, again, like Chantal was saying, it can be asymmetric. You know, you're just kind of trying to catch the light and make that kind of moonlight reflect off of the face. But it's very whimsical, and I think it's beautiful and romantic.
Yeah, and cool toned as opposed to a
absolutely,
warm
yeah.
highlight.
Which, you know, some people can be a bit scared of like, oh, cool tones don't suit me, and we all want to be bronze, especially for the summer. But actually, cool tones are incredibly flattering. So yeah, I'm excited to create it for you in a second on my gorgeous model.
I think the sister trend to that is ultraviolet. And so really seeing this move toward violets and purples, the color of the year for 2025, according to WGSN. There's always WGSN Pantone fighting. But WGSN says it'll be future dusk, which is kind of like a purple-blue melding. So tell me a little bit about this trend.
Well, if you know the type of makeup that I love, it has to do with being futuristic and very alien-like. So this cool tone, icy cheek and skin, I absolutely love. So I'm looking at it as a frozen glow or futuristic fantasy. And it's amazing. As Sharon's saying, like cool tones could be really beautiful too. Everything doesn't have to be warm.
Yeah.
And the cool tones work amazing on all skin tones, but even more on a really deep skin. It just looks so rich and so futuristic. So I'm excited to do that today.
Amazing. So we have a beautiful skin trend, futuristic fantasy, and then we can't talk about the season without talking about grunge. But grunge is getting a little bit nuanced. It's not just your typical black. So tell us a little bit about this, what we're calling the quiet grunge trend.
It is. I think quiet grunge is, you know, this mixture of goth and where grunge really was in the 90s, where grunge really was almost like a no makeup, and maybe there was a strict lip. But it's taking both of those references and really bringing them together in creating something that's very personal. You know, I think there are more blown out edges. I think it's not necessarily start with concealer. It really is appreciating the rawness and the undertones of the skin and using what's there to shape a look. It can be a bit of that kind of moody, angry, I'm feeling some kind of way, but it also can be, I think, quite romantic and lovely and soft. And it really is those 90s grays and grayish tones, but I think we're going to see some of those pinks and some of those almost like allergy colors brought in to create a bit of romanticism.
Yeah, Gabriette just wore that look to our
She looked amazing.
event in
I love
Ibiza, which
her.
I absolutely love, going to a concealer event and wearing dark under eye circles. So punk. But she looked
Yeah.
incredible. So, well, great. Well, we're excited to see these in action. We're going to bring out our beautiful models. This is super interactive. This is a time for you to connect with these artists. So if you have any questions, we're going to have a mic floating around. Please ask them, shout them out as they work. But over to you all. We'll let you all come in.
Welcome, our lovely models.
Welcome.
Take a seat, sweet.
Everyone, the gorgeous for two.
This is Mary.
And this is Needy. So I'm going to kick off with our Strobe Dewy Tint. Have you guys used this yet? This is like, you have to get your hands on this. This is the most amazing texture ever. It's basically liquid pigments and pearls which are suspended in a translucent base. And it just gives the most amazing coverage, it gives the most amazing glow. The technology behind this is incredible. The pigments are actually called Terra pigments. So Romero, this is all over you with AI.
Yes, futuristic.
Exactly, but it goes on beautifully. It's kind of, just look up for me, Needy, thank you. It's super glowy without being greasy, you know, it's not heavy. I don't know if you guys can see already, just with half, close your eyes. Half of her beautiful face. But I haven't, since I tried this product, like Kat was saying, we torture test our products, not just backstage, but on ourselves as well. And I'm really fussy with skin. I was always a face and body girl. But can you see that already? And that's a tiny amount. And again, it just, if you look straight ahead for me, it already as well is kind of helping knock out any of the pigment that we want to maybe lift a little bit. But yeah, I'm obsessed with this. So you guys, do we have this in the goodie bags, Monique, Lyric? I think we might do. And even if it's not your shade, it's really stretchy in terms of the actual colors, or you can just put them in your kit. Put it in your kit. I'm going to carry on doing this, and Ro, I'll pass back to you.
So I am piggybacking on Sharon. I just did a little bit of Hyperreal Ceramizer, and then I'm going in with, this color is called Rich 3, and it's the Strobe Dewy Tint, which Sharon spoke about. And look at the difference. I'll show you both sides. And it really is a super lightweight tint that just looks glowy and rich. And it's really, really, it looks like super healthy, hydrated skin.
It's a really luxurious skin because the light travels through the particles and just refracts and reflects the light. So
All right.
it looks like you've done loads, but you actually haven't.
I'll do a
So
little.
which is why I've been wearing it since I
Yes,
got it, because I'm lazy.
this is Sharon's favorite. So just look at the difference with both. It looks like there's skincare and foundation, like all done. So easy.
You loved it as well, Nidhi, didn't you, when I showed you?
I did.
Question.
Yeah.
So I see that you're both using different brushes.
Yeah.
Is that just a preference, or does it actually lay down differently depending?
I mean, for me, it's probably a preference, but for me, I wanted to get coverage quite quickly, so that's why I'm using a denser brush and a flatter brush, because I can really pack it on. I think using a 159, I love that too, if you want to diffuse it and buff it.
Yeah.
Does it build?
It builds
Yeah.
beautifully, yeah.
The reason I like
Great
using
question.
this brush is because I'm almost like pixelating it onto the skin so it looks airbrushed. So dotting it, because when this is wet, it gets pointy. So I'm just pixelating so you can see skin underneath, and it looks even more natural this way.
Can you matte it down as needed in places, or is it just always?
You can, and I would say if you're working on a skin that's particularly kind of maybe a little bit more oily or normal, don't overload it with skincare. Because you don't, my daughter who's 19 loves this, but her skin's gorgeous, like it's already like glass. So if she puts too much like serum or moisturizer on and this, she ends up having to add powder, which then adds coverage. So it's kind of counterintuitive. So yeah, think about your prep beforehand and the skin you're working on. I'm dry dehydrated, so I would still use all of my skincare products and this, and I don't powder, and it looks not like this. It just looks normal.
I love how quick this is. It's like a quick foundation. It looks like you've done foundation, concealer, and moisturizer all in one, and it looks even and smooth, so easy to blend and just seamless.
I agree.
Over to you, Chantal.
And I'm doing none of that. None of it, none of that. I am starting with Studio Radiance Concealer and also using a little bit of the traditional Studio Fix fluids. So I know we upgraded this formula last year, and Studio Fix fluid was, you know, it sometimes was something people used in their makeup kit, but sometimes not something people used in their makeup kit because it was in a glass bottle and, you know, et cetera. If you have not had a chance to play with the upgraded formula, I encourage you to do so. It is a phenomenal sheer matte cloudy foundation. I'm mixing it with the Studio Radiance Concealer, and you can see like the dots are like all in places that don't actually make any sense, right? Because what I'm doing is I'm assessing Mary's skin and trying to figure out what undertone moments she has that I want to amplify and almost make a feature of the makeup, right? So the thing about a quiet grunge or grunge-inspired makeup is to resist the urge to blanken the canvas and then put everything back with makeup, because then you end up with a situation where you have beauty texture everywhere. So what I'm doing is I'm using the concealer quite low to really protect this lovely bluish pink tone under her eye, because we're gonna make that an eyeshadow. We're gonna make that part of the romance. And then I'm using Studio Fix fluid in a slightly deeper, warmer tone, and just sort of mixing around in areas where I wanna create a little bit of highlight or a little bit of depth, but I'm almost kind of like scrubbing the color in. Like you could almost just do this with your fingers. You're almost like burnishing. That wasn't nice, was it? Sorry. Because we want this to be, the foundation really, it shouldn't look like anything, you know? So I'm just controlling a bit of color.
And presenters, can you repeat the question so our friends on Zoom can
Of
hear
course,
as well?
apologies.
Thank you.
We have been media trained, I promise. Okay, so I'm going to use our brand new Studio Radiance Concealer, which has literally just launched last month. We're now September, yep, but a couple of weeks old. I've done it already on this side. I don't know if you guys can see. And again, it was just like we do dot swipe glow. That's our hashtag. So I just dotted a tiny bit, and the doe foot is gorgeous. It's quite chunky. She big. So you can just do a little, like literally one dot, and then I just swiped here, and I swiped here too, because I'm not going to do any kind of contour, because that's not what this trend is. But I also want to create dimension on the face. This is such a gorgeous texture, such a gorgeous formula, and it dries down. It's super creamy. There's so many amazing skincare ingredients in there. but it sets itself. So there's no need to kind of like go back in with powder. You can if you want, but you don't have to. And it's like 24-hour wear. It's beautiful.
So last week, well, not last week, just a few days ago, Sharon and I were in Ibiza for the launch party of this, Ibiza, right? The launch party of this concealer. And it was so hot and so humid. And I want to say for a hydrating concealer, it lasted all night, honestly. So Dot Swipe and Glow, this color is NW50. So we're doing this brightening with my gorgeous model here. And what I've done is I've just dot and swiped and blended. And you can see it looks like there's contour here because I've lightened this area right under the brow and right by the waterline. Tip of the nose as well, and I'm just gonna blend. But look at the difference. And the concealer has a really beautiful glow. And it will dry down and set itself, but still look dewy. One thing I wanna say that most people that wear this will let you know, the skin, when you take the concealer off, feels even better than when you started. It really, you feel like the skincare that's in it is really drinking into the skin. Huge, huge difference. So that's what a lot of people are saying.
Yeah, it's got immediate and long-term kind of benefits.
Okay, since my skin is relatively minimal at this point, I'm gonna start to build on the eye and build on the cheek. And I think for me, grunge, it is about capturing a mood. And so I will have a tendency to not finish a feature, you know, it's sort of a walk away and play and kind of keep adding here and there and stepping back. But what I did leave with Mary is I left her cheeks pretty much raw. She has this really lovely, like, warm pink that's coming through. And sometimes just like using your fingers or using a brush to sort of manipulate the blood flow, you can see the skin will flush on its own, so it doesn't really need much by way of color added to it. But I am gonna go in with the Encrypted Kryptonite palette, which, what I love about this palette is it is grunge, it is 90s nudes, it is everything you need for any kind of basic makeup, smoky, sexy date night. I just feel like, oh, I can do everything with this. In this case, I am gonna use this neutral gray, and I'm just gonna start to build up a little bit underneath the bridge of the cheekbone, just to sort of push the shape a little bit. And in the meantime, I also added Feline to the waterline. This is a moment in time where you do not need to tell the model, you know, don't cry on me. It's like, please, please tear, please tear. The idea here is make it real, like I skipped around a little bit and didn't try to do a lovely application. And in all honesty, I'm probably gonna take the liner off, because as we all know, when you try to take a kohl pencil off someone backstage, you're like, well, this is gonna take, this is that perfect opportunity to really reel the hack, right? If it's supposed to look like yesterday's liner, then put it on, take it off. It's not gonna budge on the first try. It's just gonna get messier and messier, and then it's just gonna look more real.
I'm doing a little bit of strategic powdering with the Studio Fix Powder Foundation in a warmer shade, just because for my Trend Ultraviolet, I want to make sure to leave the sides of the face a little bit more dewy and glowy with the concealer, but really powder the center, because the last thing you want is just take a photo and just look greasy, right?
Yeah, it's all about strategic powdering as well, isn't it? So
That's
I've
right.
used Double Gleam, which I adore. This is such a beautiful highlight. And again, really quite cold. So I've kind of done a little bit of a C shape here and across the eye as well on my lovely Needy. Just a fluffy brush. And again, there's no kind of, you can just go for it. This trend is so fun for that, because the whole face could just be basked in moonlight. And it's really buildable. And then what I have done, and again, you can use it kind of in two different ways. I've added the pink light strobe with my fan brush just on top. I think sometimes it sits nicer when you put the cream on top of the powder versus powder on top of cream. And again, across the eye, because I'm gonna add glitter as well, but I wanna get the base like perfected before I start adding the glitter, because this isn't like as soon as I think of glitter or shimmer, I think it can go a little bit twee or a bit dolly disco. That's not what this trend is at all. It's very refined, very, very luxe. But yeah, I don't know if that's, you can see it on there. And it works so beautifully with her natural skin tone too, which is a little bit unexpected. A lovely face.
So I'm now going in with one of my favorite palettes. And you know I use this one color. It is the Studio Fix Conceal and Correct palette in Deep. And this brown I use on every skin tone to contour. And I've done a little chiseling here, as you can see on the side, a little bit on the jaw, center of the nose, and a little bit in the crease.
And I am still working this palette. I've expanded to the peachier shade and the gray mixed together. And on the raw eye, I'm kind of not being really overly cautious about making the brush hit in the exact same place on both sides. And I'm just using these shades to sort of enhance that idea of rawness. Look up for me, my dear. And if I go too far, the brush that applied my concealer will now be my magic eraser, and it will be that little bit of help to really, again, melt it into the skin. So the trick here is that it really should look like she owns all of it. It shouldn't really look like a buildup of product until we get to the lip liner, the lipstick, and then of course, as we continue to treat that eyeliner, I'm gonna just let that kohl pencil keep moving and running and see where it ends up, and hopefully it ends up someplace artfully perfect.
So before we started with Fatou, I did a little bit of a brow shape as well as the MAC Stack mascara on the top. She has incredible lashes that she can thank her parents and MAC Stack for. So thank you for that. So I'm going in and I like just sort of creating using a palette, and this is the Paint Stick palette. And I've mixed actually Marine Ultra and also the white together to make this sort of strange purpley color. And I'm gonna just place this right on the lids before doing shadow to really get a pop of color out of my shadow. Over to you, Sharon.
So I have forgotten the cape because I don't want to cover my beautiful model in, you know what it's like when you're using glitter. So I'm using the pearl glitter on top of Not Afraid to Sparkle, this Dazzle Shadow Liquid. If you haven't used these, you need these in your kit. You need these for yourself because it controls the placement of it doesn't have all that fallout. So, but yeah, I've just kind of started to build on top of what I'd already, so this is more of a shimmer, this is the glitter, this is the kind of the difference. And again, it's kind of really, you could blow this on, but I've just kind of pushed it on top. And because there's something that's already there that's wet, it's almost working like a mixing medium. And I think it's really cute. It's almost like glitter freckles.
So I'm using a little bit of the dark room shadow and pressing that right on top, really saturating close to the lash line, and then I'm gonna use a fluffy brush just to diffuse it upward and outward. But I really wanna just press it in and get that color to look super, super intense.
That's gorgeous.
Thank you, Sharon.
And I am still over here messing with this eye. Okay, open for me. But I think you can see like that attention to enhancing the under eye and even taking the brownie tones. It's like, don't threaten me with a bleached eyebrow. Yes, please, all day long. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I think it's really about shadow in the wrong places. And I think I'm gonna continue on and connect the peachier shade to the contour, because as we know, with it being a 3 blush world these days, blush seems to also be finding a moment sitting really, really high on the bone. And I think we've been seeing that again with the, peaches and pinks, but I think we're gonna start to also see this same placement in more muted brownish pink tones. So I'm gonna go for it.
I love that. Romero, what were you talking about before about kind of the perfectly imperfect?
Yes, about really playing with imperfection and making that perfect. Like it's okay to have something that is more organic and doesn't have to be a straight line, could be a little bit wiggly, could be uneven on both sides. And I feel that in itself is powerful. So I'm using a little bit of the red from the Paint Stick palette. And since mine is ultraviolet, I'm thinking that light has so many different hues of blue and pink. And I'm just gonna add a little pop of red right in the outer corner, which would make it almost violet or pinky. And I love mixing creams as well as powders together because I feel like it helps to blend the shadow and diffuse so it becomes really seamless.
And I'm just trying to diffuse the glitter, which is a job in itself because you know what it's like as soon as it's kind of on and it's set. And then well, for this it doesn't matter. It's not about, oh, it shouldn't be there because it's supposed to be scattered.
It's really cool to see three distinctively different techniques happening at once. It's gone from almost subliminal to sublime.
Oh, what a soundbite. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're a wordsmith.
A poet.
I'm going to just start kind of grooming the brows. I'm going to add a little bit of mascara. It's our amazing MAC stack, which is just so buildable.
I'm back to using a bit of fresh concealer and some Fix Plus. I think the key to a grunge aesthetic is making sure that when you add blush or things that treat the skin, that you're able to sort of push that texture of that product underneath the skin so that it really, again, looks like raw and burnished. And so what I love about Studio Radiance Concealer is that although it can be quite dewy when you want something to be dewy, it's also quite easy to control. So that with a little bit of Fix Plus is letting me just glaze back over this blush in a very sheer way, so I'm keeping the texture of the blush, but just softening the edges.
So I'm going back with the shadow, and this one is called Stars and Rockets. And I'm gonna really just pop that highlight right on the top of the cheekbone to get that sort of icy blue that is unexpected, and then just diffuse it upward and outward.
I love that shade.
It's very futuristic and very AI.
And open. So I've just used MAC Stack just on one lash. You can see the difference already. Just opens that eye up. It's not, I don't want to do too much. I want to keep the lashes quite wispy because I don't want to detract from the actual skin. But yeah, if you look straight ahead maybe. You can see the difference. I mean, she's got amazing lashes, but I haven't even curled them. Just close your eyes. But I've kind of given them a little bit of a blow dry because this wand is incredible. It's very ergonomic. And then you can, I like to do this with the eye closed because you get the bottom lashes at the same time. And it's more comfortable for the model as well, or for your client. And you can really fan out the edges too. So it's super quick. And this formula is amazing. You can just keep stacking. Open your eyes. So it's just a brushed up brow, a little bit of mascara.
So I've added more feline and just let it skip around and not be symmetrical. And now I've got water-based cleanser on a Q-tip, and I'm just gonna start to remove it. And make a mess. I love a makeup where I can make a mess.
All right, so I'm going in with a shadow called Shine the Light. I'm going to do a little bit of Fix Plus Stay Over on the brush and tap right on top. So it's sort of multi-dimensional and a really beautiful highlight. It sort of melds the red and the purple all together.
Is that like normal Fix Plus, or you said Fix Plus something else?
Yes, Fix Plus Stay Over is a makeup fixative. So it's something you'd normally use last, but I like to use it as a mixing medium for shadows. Yeah, so that's what I used.
Our Fix Plus kind of family are so multi-functional. The Fix Plus Matte is the best dry shampoo I've ever used because it's clear. It's clear and it mattifies. So, you know, and I was ginger for a long time and they don't do a dry shampoo for gingers. So I always looked like I was grey at my root, and they do one for brunette now. But yeah, the matte Fix Plus is incredible for that. And that one is amazing for just like helping your makeup stay. So I'm using a product. Am I allowed to even just, okay, this is a sneak peek. This is coming out soon, literally this month. But this is the most gorgeous, clear lipstick. And our lipsticks are now, thank goodness, tested for the cheek. So I'm going to use it as a gorgeous highlighter as well. And the texture is stunning. So because the light is going to, even though it's transparent, it's clear, the way that the light's going to hit that is going to reflect it and it's going to pull it forward. So I don't even have to, I can just highlight, I don't even have to contour. It's almost kind of contouring for me. But yeah, you guys are going to absolutely love this product when it launches.
So I'm going in and adding a little bit of the red paint stick as blush, which is a great color for medium and deep skin, and just getting that rosiness right underneath that bluey highlight.
I'm just staring at my makeup. One of the things I love about removing makeup, I don't know if any of you are with me on this, is when you take that first pad with a water-based remover and you swipe it across the eye, there's that sheen that's left behind for a minute, and the skin just looks so perfectly oil slicked, like you could never create it even if you tried. So part of the reason for using a water-based cleanser to start to remove the pencil is so that I could see a moment of how the light catches. And so I'm taking now this super shimmery black and this shimmery white and dotting it into the liner to really try to capture that wet remover, so that as she blinks, like you wouldn't normally necessarily, I think, associate a shimmery or a frosted shadow with a grungy look, but you're using it to almost capture that essence of like a slick kohl pencil and just make sure you get the shape the way you want it. And now the trick is to get it to stay there, right? Because once you get a kohl pencil going, it's going. And this is just a really nice, with a small brush, opportunity to play with those textures but stabilize your look.
I'm adding just the slightest bit of the purple shadow right under the brow just for a little bit of effect. And I think with this amount of color on the eyes and this highlight on the cheek that's very blue and icy for ultraviolet, I want to keep the lips more on the neutral side. So I am previewing today, I can't say the name, but it is a lip pencil and it looks like this. Right. So I gave her a little bit of an outline earlier, and I'm going to show you what it looks like and try to hide the name from the camera. And smile for me. And I know you're all thinking, we needed this, and it's coming. So stay tuned.
I'm doing the same at the same time with you with another something we're not talking about, and another shade that you'll love.
So much innovation is coming. Like, it is so exciting. And we're a tough crowd, I think, you know, to please.
Yes. Sharon, Chantel, and I sit in product development meetings multiple times a week. That's part of our job, what we do here in this lovely office, and sometimes fight for what we feel we need as artists. And it's a bit of a battle, but it's a friendly battle because we're still a family here.
Yep.
But we try to get our way as artists, I'm just saying. And many times, they let us.
No, the most amazing collaboration ever.
Yeah, for sure.
So how long are we waiting on the name of these
Literally a couple of weeks.
Yes, soon. In the works. We just can't say it.
Yeah.
Before
But-
Santa Claus comes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This month.
Yeah.
This month.
Yeah.
So we want to tease you.
Yes. And we're giving you just a little teaser, and there's more.
Yeah.
It's not just this color. So,
Or this color.
Yeah. All right, so speaking of innovation, so again, with this much eye and this much cheek, I'm thinking for an ultraviolet, like I could go in and do something like this. New innovation as well, can't say the name, or texture, but you'll see it soon. And this dreamy concealer looking color is my #1. Light, medium, and deep skin is incredible. So look how it looks. Again, I can't say the name, but I'm going to show you on her lip. Smile for me. Yeah, that's good. So it's, again, that sort of grayish color, right? It's not warm at all. It's quite cool, which I'm obsessed with,
It's gorgeous.
especially with this plummy purple pencil. And then we're going to throw a little bit of gloss on top of it, and I'm just going to blend it out. Blend for me. Look at this already.
Pretty.
Right?
Pretty.
So we needed this. It's coming. Stay tuned.
And
No
I'm
name-
using another shade in the same product that we can't tell you about. But this is a bit more of a muted, cool tone pink that we needed.
Guys, so we're using a lot of these new products this coming weekend.
You mean for Fashion Week?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm like, can we
Yes,
say?
we are. Yes, we are. But again, because they're under embargo, we won't be sharing the actual shade names or anything like that. But yeah, it's like to, create the hype. So I have just amped up the glitter a little bit more because why not? And I've kind of just done it a little bit. So I've done a little bit in here and then a little bit here because again, I didn't want it like symmetrical. And then just pushed a little bit of clear lip conditioner on the lip as well.
I have your mascara.
All right. So since my trend is called ultraviolet, I'm going in with purple. I love how icy this looks, but of course this color is called violet beta, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. Looks great.
So we obviously live in a digital world where everything is accessible and visible. How do you navigate through trends while almost competing with society? And especially with at the rate of speed, where the Rolodex of references are being completely amalgamated together. So how do you guys decipher that, and then when you decide to take trend forward or make a trend forward?
I think that's a great question.
We have Kat.
So I'm
I
going to
was
repeat
just
the
going to say
question,
Cat
like a
Quinn.
good
I was just
citizen,
going to say.
but I'm going to repeat. Oh, Kat, do you want to repeat it?
I couldn't hear it. There's
Okay.
a fan in there,
So it's
so I
like
was
how.
like,
So how do we? And
So essentially,
Hi.
Okay, go ahead.
hey.
So essentially, obviously.
hang on, lyrics come in with a mic because we want everyone that's on the Zoom to hear you.
Oh
as well.
no. Are you sure about this? Obviously, we live in the digital world where everything is very accessible and very visible. So obviously, we can see everything. How do you sort through trends at the rate of speed? And especially when oftentimes you'll see a lot of people pulling like, here's a 90s lip with this 80s eye and this 70s chic. Like, how do you fight through all of that? Because it's not really specified right now because everything's just referential, but it's just placed differently. So I don't
Right.
know, as a company, how do you guys decide that for Fashion Week?
Yeah.
Sorry, I know that was a lot. but-
No, it's a great question. It is a lot to parse through. I know there are some editors in the room who do that every day for their job as well, and that's my background. So I came to MAC after being an editor at Allure and Refinery 29, and they wanted me to come in and help create those stories for the brand. And so what I do is I work with many, many different teams. We call it a mix of math and magic. And so the math is all the data, right? We're looking at what shades are selling. Are more cool tones selling? You know, what are people searching for in different areas of the world? All of that. But then we also recognize that once something has hit Google, the trend is a little bit more mainstream at that point. And so it's really important to MAC that we also have the magic, and that's where we're talking to artists. We're asking what are people coming in and asking for in stores. We have quarterly meetings with our, trend experts all over the world where we all get on a call and talk about, what they're seeing. We're also talking to pro artists who are working on TV shows and films several years down the line. What are you putting on, those people? What are the products that you're calling in for those projects? So we can get an idea of what's going to be trending in the future. Of course, we also work, with a lot of different trend sourcing, Trendalytics and Spate and WGSN and all of those. And then we kind of take all of that information and then we parse through it together. And we talk about, what makes the most sense for MAC, what do we feel like is going to be relevant. And sometimes you also just have to take a risk with predicting a trend too. Like you're like, we feel really strongly about this. We're seeing this movement. We're seeing girls on the subway wearing this. We think this is going to be big. Let's take a risk and do it. So does that kind of help answer your question?
Oh, more than enough.
Fab. Great.
All I have
Great
to say
question.
is Kat Quinn, everyone. She's here all
No,
week.
no.
Amazing. This is why she does what she does, and it really helps us as artists for sure. So finishing up, again, this is the final lip. No more icy, no more, it's icy but not ashy. How about that?
Love.
Right? How beautiful. So again, this is the combination here, these three. And Violet Beta is the trend. I'm gonna finish off with a little bit of the setting spray. And let's have her do a little turn so you guys can see.
Gorgeous.
And I added two last touches. I did decide to use a bit of that lipstick we're not talking about right on the cheekbone, just because I felt like Mary's cheekbone wanted it, and it built an interesting tie upwards from the lip to the rest of the makeup. And then I love for slept-in mascara. I'm sure it's a trick that's been going around for a long time, but I like to just glob mascara on my hand and take a flat eyeshadow brush and literally whack it on and push the hairs together and really let them just be like if you've ever had mascara on and then gone to the chiropractor and then you get up and you're like, that was a bad idea. I was going for that. And so a brush and some MAC stack really got me there quickly. But I love life hacks and trying to recreate strange things I've seen from my 30 years in makeup.
This trend is made for you. She could be your
It is
sister.
made for me. The mad scientist in the group.
What brush did you use to do that?
I used the 239 brush. It's just a sort of flat but somewhat soft paddle brush. Yeah.
That's my favorite brush. It's great for lips as well. And then I'm finished as well with our lovely moonlit skin. All the reflection, refraction, but still kind of powdered down the center a little bit. Yay!
I want that look next.
You got it.
I want to say thank you for many of you in the room that help us to create a lot of these looks backstage. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it.
Are there any other questions? This is so fun. We could talk about makeup all night.
And I have the mic, so just raise your hand so I can.
Any questions on Zoom as
Got
well?
a question here in the front.
Oh,
On
I
my
have
way.
a question. I just want to say that new lip was amazing.
It's a statement.
Oh no, I was just saying like the nude lip on the grunge is like amazing. I'm obsessed.
Satin textures.
Get ready.
Get ready.
And don't forget to put it on the cheek. It is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah, the formula's beautiful.
Thank you.
Is that just reflects pearl?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. With and Chantal, I keep forgetting the name
Not
of
afraid
it.
to sparkle, dazzle glass, dazzle shadow.
Not afraid to sparkle. I mean, I should remember it because it's now
It's all
literally
over.
everywhere.
Sharon, you are not afraid to sparkle.
I'm sure not.
I have to say that that Dazzle Shadow liquid, I've talked to a lot of TV makeup artists who love that because you can just go in and do a touch-up on set. You don't have to deal with the glue and the glitter.
Exactly.
So they used it on Stranger Things. They used it on Tell Me Lies. There's a lot of TV
Yeah.
shows that the artists love that.
And you can do a spotlight and it's not going to fall all over the face. So yeah, it's super easy. I think if you buffed it, like once it dries, I think if you start buffing it, it will by definition, it's going to kind of start to move. So I would be strategic with how you're applying it, like more of a patting motion versus a buffing. You don't need to buff it because you don't need to polish it to make it shiny. It's already there. So yeah.
It's the rule of nail polish. Each layer needs to be significantly dry before you put the next layer on top. If that bottom layer never quite sets, then it's not going to do exactly what you would like for it to do.
I think my question was similar.
I have the mic for you.
Here's a mic.
Was it? Oh, yeah. I've got a loud voice. I can project all
It's for the for our lovely family on Zoom.
Okay. So you said it was Reflex Pearl on top of one of the Dazzle shadows?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was being discontinued. I'm very happy it's still around. Guys.
Yeah, there's a lot of ingredients in our products that are now, we have to evolve and like talc, for instance, we can't use talc in product anymore. So and I didn't understand that until I came to the global office. And because it's like, why though? And then you understand that there's D5 in it or whatever. So it's, it's to be safe. So yeah, no, we're trying to find a way of having no plastic in our glitters and our pigments. So yeah, but it takes a minute, right? And PD are fastidious about making sure that the product is not compromised. That just because we can't have this particular ingredient in it doesn't mean that it's still not as good as the original or, So it's great. The innovation's amazing because we're constantly leveling up the formulas.
Does that mean it's an actual relaunch? Like we're going to see it come back?
You'll see. Well, we're looking at upgrading. Hi, Tiff.
You know exactly what
Yeah, I know you need to know
Like the White
exactly.
House briefing.
We are not prepared to let it go. But our PD team is amazing at looking at new resources and ways for us to upgrade the things that we know you need in your kit, we want in our kit, that we want everywhere in life. So it's on the list. Yeah. And it's being worked on.
And honestly, we won't approve it if we feel it's not going to work.
Exactly.
I see a question over here.
Okay, I'm bringing the mic.
One sec. It's for the Zoom so that they can hear you ask your
What was the name of that foundation again? Because it looked gorgeous,
yeah.
absolutely gorgeous.
The
on
strobe
skin.
dewy tint.
It is gorgeous.
Strobe dewy tint.
TV?
Don't ask me with my British accent. Romero.
Yes,
Dewy.
strobe dewy tint.
Water.
Strobe
When I say
water.
water, no one understands what I'm saying.
Strobe dewy tint.
Dewy tint.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. I love it.
Did I pass?
Yes, you did.
Okay,
Perfect.
good.
And that more recently launched in the US, right?
Yeah.
It is unbelievable. I cannot tell you how beautiful it is and how easy it is. Yeah.
And it's amazing because it feels like it's skincare, foundation, and concealer all in one. Like you get coverage from it. It is buildable, but it's also stable. Sometimes when products are too creamy, and especially foundation, when you're layering it, you almost are lifting it back off the skin, and it's challenging. It doesn't happen with this. Yeah,
And just resist the urge, right? A little bit goes a long way.
Like a tiny, not even a pea amount would do your whole face.
I'm so confident about this. I want you to take a really close look. Look at her up close.
Yeah.
Remember,
Really
you
good.
should be a makeup artist.
Oh
You're
my
good.
God! Can I work here?
I have a bit of a selfish and just pure curiosity question to piggyback off Tiffany here. How much, on a scale from 1 to 10, how much do each of you miss antiqued gold Reflex?
12.
I was going to say
22?
12. However, I have 4 of them at my house. I stocked up for a lifetime.
Don't think that we're not speaking about it, talking about it, asking for more. We need this. We sit in those product development meetings and let PD know that from artistry perspective, that we need it. So,
and that's why it's really important that we are always working in this industry. I think there's a kind of misconception that you know, depending on your position within the company, that you know, it's so important that we will always have a makeup brush in our hand. I've been a makeup artist for 29 years, and it would literally kill my soul if I didn't work backstage, or if I didn't get to try these products or do makeup. Like, I would just be a shell of myself. So to your point, you know, we need to, because we're working makeup artists in the industry, even though we work for MAC. So it's really important that we never ever kind of lose sight of that. And I'm saying that to a broader audience, so everyone's listening.
Van.
I don't think I need it.
Yes, you do. Yeah, for the people on. Yeah,
For
you
the
have
people
to.
on
For the people
Zoom.
online.
Okay. I have a two-part questions. One, how do you guys keep yourself inspired as an artist? And two, for new artists coming into the industry, they're trying to figure out if they are a content creator or makeup artist. How do you, what's your advice to them to navigate through all that? There's
I
just
stay
too much
inspired
content.
by following most of you.
Exactly,
Yes.
same.
So-
Especially
Yes.
you.
Yeah,
Yes.
like all of you guys that I know and have known for a long time, like I love looking at your Instagram, and it really fills my bucket.
Yeah.
Agreed. I feel like social media really helps that as well, because you have to see it, it's in front of you, and you can't put the phone down. So, you know, Van, for example, looking at some of your incredible content that you create makes me want to level up my quality of what I do. But to answer your other question, I feel like as an artist, as a makeup artist today, you need to do all of that. We are lighting, we are sound, we are camera, we are, all of that will help your job and help push you forward. And it's something that I had to learn, because none of this existed when we started as makeup artists. You know, well, I'm putting Chantel in my, but I mean, she's
We started
a lot,
at the same
a
time.
lot younger
I
than
was
I am.
younger.
But
No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, so you almost have to do it all, but do we do it well? No, I just try to practice. I try to take courses, like Sharon and I are doing some study stuff right now. But really, as Chantel said, really looking at what you post and getting inspired from you is, I think, is the main part, a really important part of it.
And our 4 pillars at MAC for artistry, you know, artistry is very subjective, it's art. So we wanted to have something definitive that we could speak to when we are talking about artistry, especially to our business leaders, because sometimes that's really hard for them to understand, especially understanding the difference between education, which is a huge department for us, incredibly important, versus artistry. So we have come up with Trend, which Kat obviously leads so beautifully and distills all of that information for us. Storytelling is so important, you know, that is the soundtrack to the makeup. Styling, that kind of fell off a cliff. That was something we used to talk about all the time. Now it's back in a big way, because it's, you are styling that makeup to whoever is in front of you, and that doesn't have to just be backstage, that could be in real life. And then craftsmanship. You know, all of that ladders up to craftsmanship, and that's something that we will never ever continue to stop evolving. It's like going to the gym. I was addicted to CrossFit until I got injured, but it was really hard. And then it got a bit easier because I got fitter. So then my weights got heavier, and then it was still really hard. You know, so it's like you're constantly, that's how I see craftsmanship. You're constantly honing your technique. And with our innovation, our product innovation, the way that we do makeup's gonna change. The brushes we use may change depending on the product innovation as well. So I think for new makeup artists starting up, you know, I'm not that comfortable creating content. When I do it, it's fun, but for me, it's not a priority in my role. And yeah, Romero and I are doing like an editing course, which is awesome. And when we have the time to do it, I really enjoy it. But for me, I keep putting it to the, you know, the bottom of the to-do list. Yeah. But it's really important that we do that. So I think for a new makeup artist starting up, don't try and run before you can walk. You know, for us, I think it was, when I first started, it was a kitchen sink makeup. I wanted the glitter, I wanted the lashes, I wanted the lip, I wanted the contour, you know, all of that. I was born in the 70s, so, you know, growing up in the 80s, that was the aesthetic. Now it's about the nuances. Now it's about what to leave out, you know, and again, styling kind of comes into that as well, and taste. And it's such a shame Terry's not here, because he speaks about that so beautifully as well, and he's very passionate about that. But yeah, it's a different day now, and you're right, you have to kind of wear multiple hats. But I think know what you're really good at. You know, what's your legacy? What do people, what are you known for? And I think put your, if that's your strength, really amplify that as well.
I feel being authentic is key as well. That you're not being artificial when you're posting something because it's trending, or I need to do it because someone else has done it. I think you need to be true to your own brand, right? And I think people could see when it's not you. So I try to always post what I feel is Romero, you know, as opposed to posting because everyone's posting it.
Mm. I feel like there's also something to be said about the art of discovery. The art of discovery, like, we're here in this industry because we like to play and create. And so whether you're young and you're just trying to discover references or discover technique, there still should be an art form to that discovery. It may not look like our journey, but I always want to encourage that discovery. If I weren't consistently discovering new ways to do makeup or new ways to try things, I don't think I would still probably be doing makeup. So, you know, there's something playful about what we do, right? It's makeup. If it doesn't work out, take it off.
Exactly.
It's not that serious, you know. Put it on again, try again, and it's for an art form. It's incredibly gracious to us and gracious to our process, and that I think is like what I hold in my heart about doing this.
Yeah. Be curious always.
Yeah.
I think it just, you know.
Are there any questions on the Zoom we want to? No? Okay. Yeah, please.
Lyric.
Of
Can we have the
course.
mic?
On my way.
Right, Lyric's getting her steps in today.
Yeah.
Keeping you
and
fit, babe.
squats.
Thank you. So one thing about me, I like to consider myself as an everyday girl. I'm like trying to be better at makeup because skincare is like, I got that down to a science.
Your
But
skin
makeup,
is stunning.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Thank
Good
you.
for you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. But I think just like me and a lot of my friends, the one thing we can't get is concealer. So I want to take advantage and ask the pros, how do you get it to stay flawless and to not crease?
Honestly, you need to try this formula. And I'm not just saying that. I really genuinely mean it. I think if you're thinking about texture and finish and longevity, I think formula is key. In terms of actually what you're trying to conceal, you know, quite often we have to color correct, but again, these concealers will do that for you. The pigment load is fantastic. They're very opaque, but they're blendable and they set themselves. I think sometimes if a concealer's a little bit too emollient and then we have to powder on top, because you don't, especially if you're concealing a blemish, you don't want it to be like a beacon. You're trying to conceal it, not draw attention to it. Then you add powder, it can oxidize, it goes darker, then you're constantly playing with that and you're running yourself around in circles.
Yeah.
Dark circles. This will actually really will help with all of that.
Also, I feel depending on what you're putting underneath as a base is going to be
Yes.
key. If you're using a really heavy-duty moisturizer, it could break everything
Yeah,
down.
true.
So that's why I like Hyperreal, because I think it's a really good stable base for any makeup, especially underneath the eyes.
And lastly, if it's self-applied, we tend to apply with the mirror right here. What you're seeing is a level of flawless from this far away, sometimes makes you over-apply.
Yeah.
So people are looking at you from an arm's length distance. So you need to look your best from there. So I always suggest doing concealer from over the bathroom mirror so you're seeing what other people are seeing. If they are closer than that, their eyes are closed, you're getting a kiss, it's all good, you have a different focus. And it just, you know, sometimes we judge ourselves here with a very different and unfair kind of set of expectations.
Yes.
So less is pretty much always more.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And check out that new concealer.
No.
You're going to love it too.
The MAC
Big
team
time.
wore that concealer out in Ibiza till, I'm not exaggerating, until 6 a.m. and everyone
Yep.
looked so good
Yep.
Yeah.
at the end of the night. Yeah.
Completely.
Concealers in the goodie bag, so.
Oh, you guys have it.
We're all getting some.
Thank you, Lyric.
Romero, I have a
Yes.
question about the paint stick palette you used.
Yes.
I saw you use the big one.
Yes.
And then you use the small one. Did
Yes.
you make the small one or do we have that now?
We don't have it. I made the small one because many times I know like I like carrying this one because press loves this. If I hold it up and I'm doing even something else, press will walk over to this palette because they love it. And also if I needed to do like an entire face and arms and legs, I can make it wide so I carry this.
Gotcha.
But I've made a mini palette for myself and some customized colors as well.
Yeah, I noticed there were some different colors.
Secondary.
Marine
Yes.
Ultra mixed
Yes.
with white
I've made
and
it
a little bit of
because
black.
This is something that Terry Barber does so well, and he has colors that it's making something custom that nobody else has, and you don't have to mix it, it's already done. So I like having some of these things already prepared and ready, so I feel like it sets me aside from other artists because I have it. It's just already pre-mixed.
And it helps with speed. So you're
Yeah,
not
and
there
helps
mixing
exactly.
and
Exactly, it helps with speed as well.
And there's someone actually in the audience here who has an incredible business for depotting products.
Yeah.
Van.
Van.
Shout out to Artist
Shout out
Kit
to
Company.
Van. Artist Kit Company.
Thank
Huge
you,
fan
thank
of
you. Our
those.
Thank
kids,
you, Van.
thank you, we thank you.
Our backs, thank you too.
Yes.
Yes.
Anything
Good one.
else?
Anyone else? Amazing. So much fun today with
This
you
was
guys.
so
Thank
fun.
you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, we'll do it again.
So feel free to come up and ask us questions. Check out the models. We're going to have to hide those secret products.
Yes.
They're going to
Yes. It's gone. It's
It's
gone.
like take the packaging.
It's not
But
here
thank
anymore.
you so much for coming. This was so much fun. If you're not already a pro member, we not only have classes like this, but we have things like monthly trend emails I personally write, like things that go out to the community. Obviously, you get the discount, all the amazing perks, but the community is really where it's at. So
Yes.
make sure that you sign up for Mac Pro, and we'll see you all backstage. Thank you so much.
Have a great season.
Thank you.
Hi.
Am I
Thank
still
you.
mic? Am I still